Hey everybody, welcome back. Northernlion plays the Binding of Isaac AFTERBIRTH Plus. No baby today. We're instituting a new baby schedule. So instead of me trying to get the baby to nap while I record Isaac, I mentioned we put her in her own room. So now we just kind of force her to nap. GFPF HO1H. I know that sounds a little minkus. It's not. I'm realizing that getting a baby to fall asleep is a lot like getting an adult, like myself, to fall asleep. If you leave them with ample flashing lights and distractions and so on and so forth, oh, this is not great. Okay, by the grace of Edmund, we're saved. They're never going to fall asleep. They're always going to say to themselves, hey, why would I fall asleep when instead I could stay online and, like, read one more thing that makes me mad? With the baby, it's the same thing, you know? You gotta eliminate some of the distractions. So when I'm trying to get the baby to fall asleep and, you know, daddy's yelling at the computer screen going, hey, you, give me a damage upgrade. Meanwhile, you know, you're bouncing, and there's flashing lights, and there's, you know, the sound of, like, the fan and the air filter and the computer and stuff like that. You know, it's hard to fall asleep. If you just kind of put her in her crib. Did this room speed up, or did my brain just slow things down like Bradley Cooper in Limitless? Please tell me it's... my prayers have been answered. The drug from Limitless is real, and it turns out it's caffeine. Have you seen Limitless, by the way? I saw Limitless, shortly after it came out, you know, probably close to its digital, release. And I thought it was pretty good, but I wonder if it's not one of those movies that, has kind of aged very humorously. I think it's relatively well-liked. Like, it's one of those movies I don't think anybody would be like, it's a 10 out of 10, but it's like a very enjoyable 7 out of 10. Because not all 7 out of 10s when it comes to film are created equal, right? Like, some of them, you go watch, you know, like a period piece that maybe isn't that exciting to you, but you're like, yeah, it's done with a workmanlike quality, and it had a certain je ne sais quoi. I would say that is, you know, that's a reasonable 7 out of 10. And then there's a 7 out of 10, like, you know, The Hangover one, where you're like, this is not the greatest piece of art ever made, but I would watch it again, like, right now. Not right now, because I've seen it, like, I don't know, 70 times, but you get the idea. Come on, man. I can't see anything on the room, and yet you're gonna have the audacity to fire bullets at me? Hardly seems fair, quite frankly. We do have a very great run at our disposal, right? Like, we have, 8-inch nails is very good. Blue Baby is a little bit spooky sometimes, but... Oh, I was so close to being completely safe, too. Now times are tough. We really just need, like, a bomb. Like, for example, if we were able to get a bomb there was a tinted rock. So things are modestly scary, but let me caffeinate and let's end it here. But, you know, there's all those movies that are, like, you know... And it's surprising, but there really are, you know, at least a handful. You know, what if you could access the inaccessible potential your brain occupies? Like, I thought that when people were memeing on the film Lucy, I thought Lucy was just kind of like a not great movie with maybe a bad premise, like a premise that people found uniquely silly. Like, I always think back to Face Off. Face Off has an unbelievably silly premise as far as movies go. We gotta try. We gotta... Oh, it's extremely great. The plot of the movie Face Off is that John Travolta, to catch Nicolas Cage... No, wait, I've got it backwards. I'm trying to... I'm like, wait a minute. Nicolas Cage gets the facial... No, hold on. They swap faces. No, okay, now I remember. See, now it's not... This is a film, it's kind of hard to remember because it's a little nonsensical. In order to figure out where a bomb has been planted by Nicolas Cage, John Travolta, who is like an FBI agent, gets an experimental surgery to take Nicolas Cage's face. However, Nicolas Cage wakes up from the surgery afterwards and shoots his way out of the hospital. So now you got John Travolta as Nicolas Cage, you got Nicolas Cage as John Travolta. Truly staggering feats of action movie bravado follow. But Face Off is not a bad movie just because it has an absurd central premise. It's actually like a really, really good action movie, and I'll stand by that. I know that you're like, how good could it possibly be? It's about, it's about two middle-aged men trading faces. Yeah, okay, well, luckily, for everybody on planet Earth, we don't evaluate movies, from a merit-based standpoint as exclusively being like, how plausible are they in real life? Hold on. That's an important get, but we sadly can't take any of these, but I'm still pretty happy. I think we should try to buy a Spirit Heart. I know it seems like, how are you going to do that? Well, I'm hoping these poops will help me out here. But, like, Lucy, it's a movie by Luc Besson, and it stars Scarlett Johansson as Lucy, who is like, I get it confused with the movie Salt sometimes, but I believe Salt is like Angelina Jolie doesn't realize, but she's actually a sleeper agent from, the USSR or something like that. Lucy is like, there are some spy overtones, but really it's like, she starts using 100% of her brain and she can actually like transcend space and time. It becomes truly like, and I'm gonna spoil a little bit of Lucy for you, but like at the end of the movie, she basically does like a... Okay, so I'm not going to make the reference that I was going to make, but suffice it to say, there is a very, a tentpole release in the world of Japanese animated filmmaking that goes in a very similar direction, that I actually think is very much well worth seeing, so I'm not going to spoil it, but she basically melts into digital electrons and fuses with the... all the technology in the world, and just, becomes, she perfuses the entire telecommunications network of the globe. Anyway, bad movie. Stupid premise, bad movie. Face Off. Stupid premise, the stupid premise makes the movie better. And I know you're like, if you're a long-time viewer, you're like placing bets right now. You're like, buy shares in him talking about Crank. It's true. It's true. I do not think Crank is the strongest action movie ever made. For anybody unfamiliar, Crank is a movie starring Jason Statham. And the way that... Because there's two of them, and they're both amazing. The way that Crank 1 works is that Jason Statham has had a poison injected into his heart that will kill him if his heart rate goes below, like, 100 beats per minute or something like that. I know. You're like, why didn't I think of that? It's very good. So basically, he has to not only stay moving at all times, but he has to engage in like increasingly risky behavior sometimes just to keep his heart rate up. It's like the way I would describe that movie is it's like Rat Race meets. Face Off is not a terrible explanation there, honestly. Like, Rat Race meets They Live or something like that. It's just gritty, moment-to-moment comic book insanity. And then the second one, I almost think is, because they embrace the absurdity even more, I almost think the second one is even better. In that one, I don't even remember the premise of how this makes any sense, but he needs to occasionally... consume electricity in order to keep his heart from stopping. I know it's if you find yourself concerned with the machinations and the mechanisms, let's say, of how this came to pass, then perhaps this is not the movie for you. But I have long been and I apologize because we've been down this road a few times in the past, but I've long been a defender of action movies. The action movie defender has logged on. For a long time, they have been considered, second-rate films just because the main character, shoots a gun or does, 1 to 2 implausible things. It's just crazy, right? Like, when Bruce Willis falls, 2 stories, lands on his back, and isn't even out of breath, people are like, oh, it's unrealistic. But when, Zooey Deschanel falls in love with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, sorry... Everybody's like, oh, so true. Sorry. I'm just, anyway. Nothing against JGL. JGL, baby. Love the JGL, baby. Anyway, so that's what's been on my mind. It's been, dude, like this night 2 of having the baby sleep in her own nursery. And again, she slept from like 10 till 8. Like, it's crazy. I don't know how long it's gonna last. Inevitably, she's gonna have some kind of, you know, sleep regression situation. But for now, I'm like, this is... I genuinely... You ever wake up... you ever sleep so much you feel sick when you wake up? That's where I'm at right now. I know you're like, oh, Mink is... No, like, we got no nausea, we got no dry cough, we got nothing... Not to mention I haven't been going to too many, you know, raves lately. It's just like, it happens sometimes where, like, you sleep and I guess you've been, like, snoring and maybe, like, it's... like cold outside or something like that, so the temperature in your bedroom goes down, and you just wake up and you're kind of like, I got like a little film inside of my throat. It feels like there's some gravel in my throat. That's basically what happened. I'm pretty sure I slept like 9 hours last night, and my body is like, what? Like it doesn't feel right. You don't even have a headache right now. Kind of had like an ambient headache for like 3 months. And I know that some people will say, you know, it's cause for concern, go see a doctor. I personally guarantee that a doctor is going to be like, yeah, you got a newborn. That's how it goes. Let me guess. You find yourself also forgetting things occasionally. Yeah, that's because you know, you've been averaging like 5 hours of very interrupted sleep a night for, you know, and also all your priorities have changed and, you know, blah, blah. Anyway, not complaining. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Very, very happy right now. With many things, but unhappy to some extent with, not the run, because I think we got some great items on this run, but it's like the lowest amount of consumables I think I've ever seen on a run. I'm very glad I never committed to going into the curse rooms, because I think honestly we might be, I mean, obviously we do have Monkey's Paw, but I think honestly we might be like very low on HP if we had done that. We're still kind of low on HP for that matter, but, so yeah, it's good. What have I been up to lately? The usual, you know. Kind of thought I would wake up, because it's Monday morning, and, you know, we're not going to talk investing, but for long, at least, but, kind of seemed like I was going to wake up to, like, you know, the stock market having crashed. Like, what's known as futures were insanely down, which is basically, like, you know, you could use it as a sentiment of, like, what people think the market's gonna do the next day. Is basically the practical use of it. So we're like, maybe all this, like, meme stuff has kind of tanked the stock market, and I kind of came to terms with it, and I was like, you know what? It's like that old proverb, you know, may you live in interesting times. It's certainly an interesting time. I woke up, and turns out everything's actually doing pretty well today, except for the meme stocks, but, you know, I mean, I'm not involved with them, so I'm not saying, you know, like, oh, it's good that they're down. I'm just saying, like, you know, I didn't get to experience the meteoric highs, and I also am not present on the slide like the Goo Goo Dolls either, so it's not really for me to say, is it? Either way, I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, it's like, it's 9:48 a.m. on a Monday morning. You want more anecdotes than that? I did go to the grocery store yesterday and I bought some cereal. I like self-influenced. Like, doing the cereal tier list made me want to buy more cereal. No deal with the devil, huh? Well, we'll buy Spirit Hearts on the next floor for certain. For certain. What cereal did I buy? I've been buying, and I gotta admit, it's a bit of a flex, because this is, you know, there's like the cheapest cereal, which is like the generic knockoff of bad cereal. Like, there's a stratification, right? Like, regular Cheerios, I don't think are a very good cereal. But then, you know, those are like priced in the, let's call it like the budget tier. Then there's like the deep budget tier, which is like, they're not even Cheerios anymore. They're called like, you know, Oat-O's, and they're in a box that's got like a giraffe on the front for some reason, and you're like, a giraffe doesn't even make sense. Why a giraffe? Like, you could have used, like, I don't know, like an octopus. You could have called them like Octopus O's or something like that. At least there's some alliteration, but but no such luck. And I always like, so there's Rice Krispies, but then there's the no-name version in Canada is called Crispy Rice, which is just like maybe the only time that the generic brand actually has like what I would consider a more sensible name. Anyway, so you know, you got like the super budget tier is the no-name versions of the bad cereals. And if you like Cheerios or you like Rice Krispies, this might sound patronizing, but I'm actually like a little jealous. Because, you know, no cereal is really that great for you, obviously. You're kind of like, you're sacrificing a little bit on the health side in order to get some convenience. Because, you know, if you were to have like the healthiest breakfast you could possibly muster, you'd have like, you know, an egg white omelet or something like that every morning. You probably wouldn't just shovel carbohydrates into a single bowl and then eat it with a spoon as fast as possible. But you know, we make sacrifices for our own convenience all the time, and it's just, that's life basically. But I'm jealous because those cereals are like, while not good for you, certainly not as bad as some of the cereals that I find truly delicious. I wish that I could derive, you know, pleasure from a default Cheerio or you know, a Weetabix or something like that, but I just can't. I need just a little extra hint of sweetness. Then you move up. The next tier, I would say, is, you know, you get your pretty standard cereals. You know, your Cheerios, your Rice Krispies, your Life, your default Chex. You go one level higher than that, you get into the premium version. And there's a different stratification here, because I think, like, you know, Apple Cinnamon Cheerios are a little bit more expensive than regular Cheerios. But then I'm buying Oats and Honey Cheerios, which have, like, little clusters of you know, honey-soaked oats in them. And, like, we're getting up to, like, this is, you know, it's not, like, the Rolls-Royce of cereal, but we might be talking about, like, you know, the Bentley of cereals or something like that. Okay, this is not going very well. I'm a little disappointed because until this floor I hadn't really taken that much damage, so I'm kind of like, what do you want from me here? But I do not think we will die. I do not think we will die. We have every time with these question marks too, especially when we got to deal with the devil coming. Kind of annoying for sure, but we do have the what am I trying to say here? You know what I'm trying to say. Monkey's Paw. Yeah, we got Monkey's Paw. Ace of Clubs. Two of Hearts. Two of Hearts can go. Don't really want to try it. Just want to go to the shop and buy as many Spirit Hearts as possible, quite frankly. Then, like, the most expensive cereals, there's, like, a certain irony to it. The most expensive cereals are the cereals that just don't taste good at all. You know, they're like... And this is... Look, I live in a bougie hipster city, okay? I'm not trying to make enemies when I say things like this, but, you know... GMO-free, gluten-free, completely organic. Oh, we don't use wheat anymore because wheat's a bad grain. Instead, you know, it's like flax flakes with chia seeds, and you're like, I get it. Like, I get why that's expensive because it's being made by somebody, like, you know, in their bathtub as opposed to like an industrial factory or something like that. But come on, there's not even like... Why would you do it like that? Why would you do it like that? You don't even have a... Why would you do it like that? Oh, that... Okay. That went very badly. So now I've lost the moral high ground because I've made a demonstrable mistake. But we are still, you know, I'm very glad we took Monkey's Paw. You have to admit that this run has sent us in a bit of a bizarre direction. What do I mean by this? Well, we've gotten... fairly limited amounts of items. Like, we're on our 5th floor. We have 6 items. We've gotten a lot of, like, you know, spacebar items, which is good because we got one of the better spacebar items in the game, but bad because, you know, we're losing out on that, like, you know, the opportunity cost of that item. Worth a check and worth the check, I think, because we should... Okay, well, you know... I am a little frightened about this run. I'm very thankful to have, Oh, Deal with the Angel is exactly what we needed, actually. We don't know what these are, and I don't really want to die to an angel statue, so we'll just take the right item, and actually that's really good. Okay, I wouldn't say that, like, everything has fallen into place and we're safe, but this is way better. Like, that was very, very, very spicy there. But yeah, so I mean, that was basically, like, that was my day. And then I was like, well, I'm here, maybe I should get some snacks. And I don't know, like, if anybody else has this experience, but sometimes, like, I look at the line at the grocery store to check out. And, like, thanks to COVID in particular, like, everybody has to space 6 feet apart in the line. So the line becomes, like, astronomically long. And, you know, they've got, like, less cashiers working because they try to keep the cashiers spaced, like, you know, more than 6 feet apart from each other as well. So it takes, like, a long time. So originally I was just like, I'm going to get these 2 boxes of cereal and I'm going to get out of here. Then I saw the line and I was like, well, if I'm already at the grocery store, I might as well, like, you know, get some snacks. You know, let's make a trip out of it. And then you know, I was like, I'll get some, like, cheese. And then when I got the cheese, I was like, well, come on, you've been good. You can have crackers with the cheese. So I bought some crackers. And then I was like, oh, I haven't had these tortilla chips in a while. And then, like, before you know it, I looked in my grocery cart, and it was all boxes and bags, which is usually not a great sign for, you know, nutritional quality. That being said, you know, we do get the meal delivery stuff, so, you know, we got good vegetable quotients there, good vegetable, like, just a little lazy on the strategy here, dodging into a lot of things that actually cause you to take damage. Should try to knock that off as soon as possible, for sure. And maybe just not walk into enemies in general as well. But this is that the impatience is starting to show up. You can smell it a mile away. What do? You just take a deep breath and you say to yourself, Self, I know you had a vision of how today was going to go. I know that you thought, oh, this Isaac episode, you know, we got 8-inch nails on our first item room. It's going to be a fast one. That means we could even get, like, Isaac and then chess done. Oh my god. Get a chess video up. Probably still have time to eat some lunch after that. Then I'll start the stream. Oh, it's going to be, like, a really fun time. And then things slowed down. And we're trying to speed them up again. But you can't speed them up via artificial means, or the video's really going to be over quick. But not in the way that you originally anticipated. So you just gotta, you know how to play Isaac. Now, glowing hourglass, very, very powerful item. Apparently, I was incorrect. We had this on a Lost run, I think. And I said, like, you can only use it 5 times before it becomes regular hourglass. Apparently, they removed that, stipulation after people complained. So that's good to know. I still, for now, I think people will defend this, you know, that we're going to stick with Crack the Sky. It is very nice, you know, in some ways you're almost invincible, for sure, if you have glowing hourglass. But the thing is, you know, what if you run into a rough room, and then you use glowing hourglass because, like, you think you're going to die, or you've paid too much consequence in the form of HP, and then you go back in the room and the same thing happens, but this time you don't have a charge. By the way, I love how we finally had the opportunity to buy something from the shop 2 times in a row, because we had a lot of money, and, you know, it's one of the only ways you can get a bunch of HP as Blue Baby, and then they hit you with the double greeds. Not trying to be indignant, I'm just throwing it out there that, you know, it's, This run has done some very good stuff for us. We've got some very good items, but it also has kind of, in my opinion, a little, it's been a little nefarious. That's the word I'm looking for. Nefarious, you know? It's, malevolent, but with a little bit of a sneaky connotation as well. So this run appears to be quite strong based on the items that it's given us, and admittedly, I've taken some damage that I wish I could take back. However, a lot of the, you know, forces that would normally stand a good chance to propel you into some greatness on a Blue Baby run have been actively working against us on this run. Really, really. Like, for example, being completely unable to find second secret rooms, despite, like, their locations usually being very easy to spot. And then them not paying out as well. I mean, either way, like, we're moving on here, because I'm a sucker, like I said. But yeah, Don't remember what I was talking about until a second ago. Oh, yeah, the like glowing hourglass. Don't get me wrong. Unbelievably powerful. Unbelievable. Okay, not a good dodge. Unbelievably powerful, but at the same time, there is something to be said about, you know, walking into a room with the boss, and, you know, when you press the spacebar, there's like a 75% chance the boss just melts. It's a very strong value proposition. We are about to get, no matter what, like, we probably won't get a deal of any sort here, but we are about to get an amazing addition in the form of permanent Polaroid invincibility. Very, very useful. And you're not going to believe this, but we are kind of borderline train wreck status. It's a more damage-focused train wreck than usual. But still, like, I mean, you're just going to have to either take my word for it or not, you know? 7 rate of fire, 6 damage. I think people sometimes have the tendency to, like, evaluate an Isaac run through the lens of, like, what your stats are like on an Eden run at the very start. Yeah, if we started an Eden run like this, we'd be, you know, we'd be losing our minds. It's the most unbelievable start you could imagine. On this particular run, like this late in the game, it's not bad, but, you know, especially considering how little it's improved in you know, like the last 4 floors. You know, you start to question. That's all I'm gonna say, I guess. Is you start to question, you know, like what do I need to make sure that this run gets to where it needs to go? So, and here's what I would say. Deal with the angel on this floor would be very nice. A deal with the devil would be, you know, if it's the right kind of item, sure. You know, like Abaddon, for example. I would probably take 9 lives. We can just do that, yeah. I would probably take 9 lives. In addition, I mean, like the mark, the pact, stuff like that, we'd have to... I don't really remember how much HP we have. Obviously, you always have enough to take the pact and the mark. The question is, you know, what's your HP going to look like afterwards? Because, you know, there's a very real chance it goes down to essentially just what the HP you get from the item is. You know what? Underrated item for us right now, maybe not underrated, but slept on to some extent, is Empty Vessel. Like, Empty Vessel would give us HP. It would cost us HP too, but it would give us HP, and it would, really it's the invincibility. The invincibility that comes from the occasional Empty Vessel proc is the sort of thing that I'm very interested in, because our best damage dealer is Cube of Meat. It's kind of comical, but like, I'm being completely sincere with you. I feel like Cube of Meat, we're very quickly approaching the subscriber milestone for, you know, ranking, or doing a tier list, I should say, because a rank is just absurd, but a tier list of every item in Isaac. And I really can't imagine not putting, like, essentially all of the good orbitals in either the highest tier or the second highest tier. Like, I actually think, like, and the more I play this game, maybe, like, the weirder my takes get, because these are not traditionally, they're strong, but they're not the strongest items in the game, necessarily. Why would you, like, even as I was doing it, my brain was like, don't do it. But either way, I really can't imagine a world where I don't put those items in, like, the top tier. You don't even need invincibility to make the orbital be S tier. You just have to be good. I mean, I think, like, there's a case to be made there, right? Like, you would never be like, oh yeah, the Mercedes F1 car. It's a C tier car, because, you know, it's really fast in the right hands, but it's a lot harder to handle than a 2015 Ford Focus. You know? You gotta scale them, you know, based on the skill of the driver, or irrespective of the skill of the driver. Okay, here we go. Triachnid. Not super tough. Can get some sneaky HP loss on you for sure. Still got Monkey's Paw working for us, which is a great sign. We got HP and nothing else. Okay, so we're guaranteed a deal on the next floor. Arcade could have something of value, but Not so much. I'm just like, I'm a little stunned by how we, like, completely countered we got. By, oh my god, that was completely my bad, I'm sorry. I'm a little stunned by how completely countered we got by shops. Like, you don't realize, like, a blue baby run doesn't really have to be that hard. But you really do sort of rely on, you know, getting some shop help, I think. Bit spiced then? Bit spicy? How, the enemies control 100% of the screen, and yet somehow Crack the Sky only killed one. Truly staggering. I mean, like, if there's ever been a signal that things are getting a little spicy, it's a room like this taking you that long. Let's put it that way. Okay, okay. And then, like, every red chest in the game is... Oh, then get out of jail free doesn't even work here. Every red chest that we've had so far in this game has basically provided us with no value whatsoever. I actually... Like, this feels like a hit job, right? Doesn't this feel like you started your Isaac run and somebody's like cut the brakes in your car or something like that? Maybe I'm just, you know, I feel entitled to a run that's stronger than I should ever feel entitled to. But I'm like, man, like we still got, we're on like the third last floor of the game, and I can still see in the item ledger the first item I picked up. If that's not an indication that things are starting to trend in a bad direction. I don't know what is, man. But I still got high hopes we can make it out of this. You know, we're probably pretty light on HP, but we've been pretty light on HP for essentially the entire game. Really just, I mean, if we beat Mom's Heart, which, and I do appreciate that, thank you. There is a chance, by the way, that because of the way that we're, like, taking the hearts, we might not give ourselves an opportunity to actually use, Monkey's Paw, because you take one full heart of damage. So, I don't know. I mean, that's just as likely to have put us into it as out of it, right? Because I don't remember what our HP was like. So, there's some fear involved there, yeah, without a doubt. But there's some greed as well, if you will. There's some greed as well. Very, very scared. And also annoyed by this curse. I feel like we've also, and, you know... At some point, if you, we haven't used Monkey's Paw yet. At some point, if you notice a problem with everything, maybe the problem is with you. I recognize that. Alternatively, if you notice a problem with everything, maybe everything has problems. You ever think about that? Maybe if you're not able to... You know what? I'm taking this. Maybe if you're unable to evaluate situations based on their evidence and instead always resort to... Oh, how did we purge this curse? I actually feel like I have undergone some kind of, like, spiritual awakening. Could we see our HP on this whole floor? Am I still asleep? Like, how did that happen? Maybe it's not that I couldn't see my HP, it's that I didn't look. I'm kind of, I'm a little flabbergasted right now. I'm going through some stuff, apparently. Gulp. I don't really care about this speed down. And to be honest, I don't think the gulp... I mean, I think it's actually very good. That's what I meant to say about that. But, yeah, anyway, I don't know. Apparently we've gone in the wrong direction here. I feel like we got bodied by shops on this run. And we got extremely bodied by curses as well. Like, ever since that first deal with the devil, which we could not take. Relax. I shouldn't. I really shouldn't be even trying that, but... So what do we think about Blank Rune? I would say that right now... Like, here's the thing. We don't know what it's gonna be. So I think the way I should approach it is... Not betting that it's gonna be something, but let's assume that it's the rune that would give us the highest value, and then try to use it in a situation appropriately as a result. So what's the way we should approach that situation? I think we should assume it's an Algiz rune and pop it as soon as we go into the Mom's Heart fight. There's no way for us to know. That right now would give us a pretty huge benefit. I would be overjoyed. I would quite simply be overjoyed. You know, we could have assumed that it was Yera and popped it right there. Also, not a bad thing necessarily. I mean, and it might be Yera. Don't take it. Now you don't need to take it. It could also be Dagaz, you know? And if it's Dagaz, well, if it's Dagaz, we don't have to pop it, like, right away or anything like that, but... We'll just... Oh, dude, a Spirit Heart? Okay, okay. Looking increasingly likely we will at least live temporarily. And now, without, Crack the Sky being available, we're not gonna try to finesse a charge out of this for sure, but with Crack the Sky being unavailable, Algiz would be like a 500 out of 10 on the scale of usefulness. Let's see. Okay, so it was Dagaz, but I mean, like, still very good. In fact, in some ways, Dagaz is actually better if we don't take damage. Which is not too likely to come to pass. And again, this will be a pretty good indicator of how well our damage stacks up, I think. Right now, with a little bit of bomb supplementation, it's not doing too badly. Obviously, this is where the fight becomes a little trickier. Reminds me, I saw a little meme the other day about the game Touhou, you know, the Japanese shooting game. Space shooter, I should say. That was a really clean fight. I feel great about that. And of course, I mean, you know what? Maybe this is better right here. Maybe it's better that we might get Lump of Coal for free instead of probably, if we're being honest, being unable to take a deal because of HP-related concerns. Krampus's head we would not be too interested in, though. Okay, that's fine. I'm not upset. But the meme was, how do you play Touhou? And then I take a sip for comedic effect. How do you play Touhou? Pick a spot on the screen that you think is safe from bullets. You're wrong, try again. Delightful. Now, I've never played Touhou, but that doesn't stop me from understanding what the intention of the punchline is. It's hard, right? That's what that mom fight was like, you know? Pick a spot on the screen that you think is safe. You're right. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you. Now, like, prepare yourself. This is a long one today. And again, I hope it doesn't just come across as whining. But if our stats were not so good on the womb, imagine how I feel about them now that we're on the Cathedral. We still, I would say that there's actually, and you're, again, you gotta remember, I'm not looking at the run as it appears, I'm looking at the run kind of as it's trending, you know? I'm looking at, like, the derivative of where it stands. And I think the slope of the game's difficulty is increasing fast enough that it will surpass the quality of the run on our current trajectory. The great news is, we are about to go to the chest. It's the single, you know, highest yield floor for good quality items that you could possibly imagine. It doesn't mean we're guaranteed... Okay, that was just idiocy, but it doesn't mean we're guaranteed, but there's a chance. But this run is... And I will fight for this to my dying day. This run is actually bad. And nobody is more surprised than me to hear it. Because I really thought... That's fine. I really thought with, like, 8-inch nails, it basically couldn't happen. But we really got 8-inch nails and then kind of, like, very little else. I know, you don't... Yay, we didn't sign up for this video to hear you complain about Isaac. We did to complain about the grocery store. Okay, sorry. I already complained about the line in the grocery store. I mean, the line is what it is. What I gotta be like, hey, move faster, you know? What are you supposed to do? Especially, like, man, don't even get me freaking started. I really need to check these. No? Maybe. Okay, we'll at least try. Alright, it's a long trip. Dude, just do it. Just send it. Yeah, if you want to give me some negatives, like, go ahead, man. Go ahead, man. If you want to give me some negatives. But, like, I really feel like some businesses, and I am not vilifying them for this, but I do really feel like some businesses are kind of taking advantage of some things that the pandemic has made it socially acceptable to no longer provide as a service. You know? And again, this is very petty. It's not like, oh, like, thanks capitalism. Like, these are very, very small, like, quality of life things. But still, I find them annoying from time to time. But, what do I mean by this? Well, here's what I mean by this, okay? Oh, 1 second. This is an incredible room, potentially. We wanted to donate some of our old clothes. Nobody in the, you know, Vancouver area seems to be taking clothing donations right now, which I understand, you know, it does make sense. But at the same time, I'm also like, I mean, we, you know, washed them all and got them all good to go. Like, I understand that there is, I guess, potentially, like, during the pandemic, you don't want to, you know, increase your risk like that. Like I said, I'm not vilifying the business. Mostly, I'm just making conversation. But it is still, you know, annoying to some extent, because you're like, you know, I got all these clothes that I want to donate. I know they're clean, but I guess they would be taking on unnecessary risk by taking them in, I suppose. But they can also just, you know, go out to a restaurant, because the indoor dining is still... Anyway, I'm not trying to get into it in that. I'm not trying to, you know, put the system on trial necessarily. But regardless, the other one is that, like, at the grocery store, for like 6 to 8 months, you couldn't bring your own bags. Okay, fair enough. Now you can bring your own bags, but they won't bag them for you. You got to bag them yourself, because if they touch the bags, you know, I guess that's too much of a COVID risk. I suppose, again, I don't know, they have smart people running the operations side of this, but it definitely makes the throughput at the grocery store slower. And I think, like, you know, you can decide for yourself whether you feel like it's an appropriate precaution or not. Because, you know, I agree that there's probably, like, some risk. Is it negligible? I don't know. Is it infinitesimal? I have my assumptions, but certainly I think, you know, don't sneeze on the staff is probably a good precaution. That's one that I can definitely get down with. You gotta bag your own stuff. It's not even like because this all boils down to, like, my own inherent problems with self-confidence, I guess, right? But it's not actually, like, that much of a knock on the business. Like, oh, how dare they not treat me like the royalty that I am? Like, I don't mind bagging my own stuff. I just feel very on the spot. Because, like, you feed the stuff... Because, you know, the grocery store I go to, it doesn't have, like, a conveyor system. It just has counters. I miss the conveyors, but... so you take your stuff out of your basket. You put it on the counter, okay? As you're putting it on the counter, you're doing, like, an item a second. They're doing an item a second, scanning it, and then moving it off to the side. They won't put it in your bag. They'll just put it off to the side. Then immediately, so as you load the last item, they scan the last item. They're like, how do you want to pay? You pay for it, okay? The payment processing, because we live in the future now, only takes like 3 seconds. This is a bit spooky, by the way, but it only takes like 3 seconds. In those 3 seconds, you have to try to bag up as much as you can. Inevitably, you're going to get, like, you know, 20% of it done at most. And then, you know, the cashier's handing you the receipt. Oh, you know, is the receipt in the bag? Okay, blah, blah, blah. You're trying to shove the stuff in. They won't take another customer until you finish bagging up all the stuff. But because you're one person and you handled the unloading, the payment, and then the loading, like, it takes like another, you know, 45 seconds to a minute, and the whole time the cashier's looking at you like, you know, sir, you're really impeding the fact that my next customer is supposed to, you know, be... No wonder the line is so long. And I'm like, yeah, because you just put the stuff in the freaking bag. We wouldn't... Anyway. Basically, I'm just constantly worried about being made fun of. I guess is what it comes down to. I am begging you for a dopamine injection on this floor? No. Not really. Okay. So the mind is awesome, but everything else is suspect at best. Let's teleport. Okay. What do? I think we've been given a golden opportunity here. I think the most important thing for us, if possible, is to kill Super Gluttony last and hope that we get HP. We could, I mean, killing Super Pride last or whatever, Ultra Pride, it could give us 9 lives. I'd rather just take the stab at the HP, personally. But I understand, like, the opposite case as well. It really comes down to luck one way or the other. I'm hoping luck's on our side. Luck be a lady tonight. Look at that. Okay. We will absolutely take this, even with the speed down. And I think you just really use Crack the Sky as much as possible. .2 whatever speed should still be, like, good enough. It should still be good enough. So what are we looking for here? We got 2 luck. That's important. Every HP is of unbelievable importance as well. 2 luck is potentially very good. Regular secret room, I wouldn't consider it particularly valuable necessarily, but second secret room, absolutely. I'm still kind of flabbergasted at the impotence of this run, and, you know, I don't use the word lightly, but we really have had almost the same damage stat for, like, the entire game. And thankfully it was good, don't get me wrong, but that doesn't mean that the run is good as a result, you know? Maybe you bought your own car when you're 16. If you're 45 and you're still driving that 1993 Honda Civic, you're probably itching for an upgrade, okay? Well, key is not what we're looking for, but we got the most valuable resource of all, 1 extra room in the books. So this is going to be horrible. We're going to endeavor to take as little damage as possible. We are probably going to be hit. What do we do about that? When you get hit, we absolutely 100% have to capitalize by doing as much damage with the orbital as possible. You might think this is luck. I think there's a little luck and a lot of good positioning happening here. Just trying to redeem myself for, like, some earlier HP that I threw away, you know, stupidly thinking that one of the most plentiful resources in the game would also, you know, appear more often. I mean, we've had a decent amount of Spirit Hearts show up. It's just, you know, probably less than we would expect, combined with a much slower rate of actual, like, run appreciation. And oh my god, we actually killed 1. Just keep... Oh, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing, man. Even if we get hit once here, I would consider that, like, better than expected. That's right. Even if we got hit when we shouldn't at the end of the room, I would be like, I'm pretty proud of the way that went down. Okay, so this room, I would say that we pretty much got exactly what we bargained for there. Kind of lucky to get a really good Crack the Sky, and we seem safe. Seems safe. My word. I'll give this room a like a 3 out of 10 on the difficulty scale. Certainly it can and perhaps even will take damage, and have in the past, for sure. But feeling pretty strong, honestly. I feel like, you know, any inefficiencies that we've had on this run, we've made up for somewhat on the chest, but we're still at a level of HP where honestly we could, like, the whole thing could fall apart on the final fight, even if we go in with this amount of HP. I would give this about honestly, like, another 3 out of 10 on the difficulty curve. All things considered, this shouldn't be too bad. There's only a couple of rooms that scare the crap out of me, you know? Like, and most of them are fairly obvious. Like, Blue Baby, kind of scary, okay? Not horrible, but kind of scary. Double adversary room, double cage room. This is more like maybe like a 5 out of 10 on the difficulty scale. It's definitely a worthy opportunity to use Crack the Sky if we had it available. We owe that damage to ourselves. We got lost in the corner there. Still feeling good. Okay, so we made it to our second secret room. Second secret room contains a key. Okay, I'm really trying to ration the Crack the Sky play. Like, unless we encounter a truly devilish room, I think we'll do it. Like, even though our tier cap is, or our rate of fire is, like, not that good, I think shooting 3 shots into the ether is kind of valuable. Because, the more shots, although I guess it does, like, take our rate of fire down by a proportional amount. Dude, I really, like, you will not believe the smile that crossed my lips this morning when I started this run and realized our first item was one of the better damage upgrades in the game. I was like, dude, we're gonna get 2 Isaacs done, we're gonna have time to eat. Now I'm like, dude, just go to the bathroom and start the freaking stream. I'm not complaining, it's still, like, it's a privilege, but at the same time, I'm just like, a little rude is all I'm trying to say. Just the slightest bit of rudeness. We did take a hit. Now it's all about burn rate, you know? If we could just get our... if we could get Blue Baby hurt enough that one more Polaroid invincibility is good enough to let us finish the job with Cuba Meat, then we're set. And I'm more than kind of proud of myself for this run. We hemorrhaged some HP earlier that we should not have lost. Full stop. But so does everybody who plays this game except for, like, you know, the 0.0001%. Because they're trying to have fun with it, you know? Which, increasingly, you gotta print your own rule set for that. But, at least until Repentance comes out. But, that was one of the best, like, chest runs we've ever had. The end. Like, we played super well. Especially that adversary room was, like, extremely well done. And we really are not gonna make it by much. We're probably in that permanent invincibility, you know, success range right now, but I'm not interested in trying to, you know, fill in our moat here. Let's just keep pumping the shots in. You never know, like, because he could summon a fly when he dies. That fly could actually take you out at the end of things. I'm just so stoked we made it. For now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. See ya!